Northwestern basketball has its biggest test of the young season tonight. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Northwestern, your daily podcast on the Northwestern Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. This is Locked On Northwestern, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every day. We're available wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can find us. We're also on YouTube. Just search Locked On Northwestern and you can find us wherever you're listening. Make sure that you subscribe, turn on notifications. You don't want to miss an episode because we are going to cover Northwestern, especially basketball, as it gets rolling here, as the season is just underway, just a couple games in right now. But we'll talk about that here in just a second. I'm your host, Carter Byrd. But, let's dive into it after we let you know that, look, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, let's dive into it. So as we know, Northwestern, they pulled through the other night on Friday night. We haven't gotten the opportunity to really talk about it because we talked football so much. Northwestern 63, NIU 46 on Friday night. It was a big win to start 2-0. They showed great defense again. They didn't shoot as well as the first night, especially from deep. They were 41% from the field in that game. They were 24 of 58 for the game. They were just 5 of 22 from three the week. On Tuesday, they had been close to 50%, if I recall correctly. They were 22.7% on Friday night. But when you play really, really good defense, you can make up for the fact that maybe you don't have a lights out shooting performance from deep. And look, they've got to get better at the line, too. They were 10 of 17, 58.8% in these games, especially when you get into Big Ten play and it becomes a more physical game and you're going to the line more often. You need to take advantage of every chance you get at the free throw line. That's going to be a huge key going forward for this Northwestern team. Look, you didn't shoot the three as well. You didn't shoot from the free throw line as well. But the good news is the defense showed up. You held NIU to 33% from the field. They were just 17 of 51 on their field goals. They were 3 of 14 from three for 21.4%. And then they were 9 of 14 at the line. I know that you can't really play free throw defense, but that is 64.3%. Northwestern turned them over 17 times. If the Wildcats just keep playing defense like that, Chris Collins' team is going to have success. They're going to be in just about every game they play if they continue to make life difficult on these opponents in these games. And they just shoot half decent. You don't have to be a dead-eyed type of team when you are holding teams to 30% from the field. Notable performers that I think deserve to be highlighted. Robbie Barron again leads the team in points, 15 points, 5 rebounds. I'm sorry. 2 assists, 3 blocks, 1 steal. He played 33 minutes in the game, was plus 19 in his plus minus. Continues to be the most consistent kind of overall shooter was 5 of 10 from the field, obviously 50%, 2 of 4 from 3, and 3 of 6 from the free throw line. He's got to get better at the line, but I'm not too worried about that. He continues to fill it up from deep when he gets his opportunities. Boo Booey, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal. He played 36 minutes. He played the most minutes on the team, and I think you're going to pretty much see that all year long. I think he's going to play extensive minutes, which is why that'll be key to see how well, when you get into the grind of the season, he's able to recover and get back out there and play at a high level. He was plus 14 in the plus minus, 5 of 15 from the field for 33%. Was 1 of 4 from 3 for 25%, and 2 of 2 at the line. Ty Berry, he had a double-double. Big game for him, 11 points, 11 rebounds, which led the team. 2 assists, 3 steals in 33 minutes. He was plus 15 in the plus minus, 4 of 9 from the field, and 2 of 7 from 3 for 28.6%. So he was 44% from the field and 28.6% from deep. Matt Nicholson, again, continues to make an impact in kind of limited minutes. He played just 15 minutes in this game, but had 8 points, 7 boards, and 2 blocks, was plus 9 in those 15 minutes, 4 of 5 from the field. So he's pretty efficient when he does go up with it down low. Chase Audige, he's not shooting well. He's not shooting well, but he's making his impact felt on defense. He had 6 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, 4 steals. That's where you see that defensive impact. Played 35 minutes in this one, was plus 19 in the plus minus as well. 2 of 9 from the field, which is not what you want at all. 0 of 6 from 3. And that, if you can get him going from deep, maybe that allows you to kind of separate and really kind of put it on some of these maybe not as good teams on the early part of the schedule. He was 2 of 2 at the line. Northwestern has to do a better job in close. They made their 6 dunks, yes, but those are dunks. You should make 99% of those as far as I'm concerned. But they were just 8 of 19 on layups, and you would like to see that significantly higher when you are that close, that in close. You dominated pretty much every stat except for free throw percentage and fast break points, where I think you were tied at 8. But this Northwestern team right now doesn't really feel like a team that's going to get out and run in transition all that much. But it was a good win. 2-0. NIU falls to 0-2, and got to feel confident in the defense, especially from these first couple games as Northwestern continues to impress me defensively. I think there's still work to be done on the offense, and that brings us to tonight's game, which I think is going to be a pretty interesting test. Probably going to be on television, maybe. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But first, let's talk about our friends at Simply Safe. The numbers don't lie. In the last decade, over 4 million people have chosen Simply Safe home security to protect their home. You don't earn that trust of that many people without doing something right. At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. I know, because I use Simply Safe in my own home. They protect you with cutting-edge security technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. With 24/7 professional monitoring, Simply Safe's agents call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police and first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or can't be reached. Simply Safe blankets your home in protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door. HD security cameras for inside and outside your home. Smarter ways to detect motion that only alert you when a threat is real. And even hazard sensors that instantly detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege. Save 20% on your Simply Safe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege to learn more. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Also, thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports. Go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's get into tonight's game. Northwestern has their first road test here at Georgetown in Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. The game will be on FS1 at 5:30 Central Time. They've never played Georgetown before, but there are some connections between these two teams. You have Georgetown assistant Pat Baldwin, who played from 90 to 94. He's on that team. I think he leads Northwestern in steals and is, I believe, third in points all time. Special assistant to the head coach for Northwestern, Brian James, coached with Patrick Ewing under Doug Collins, Chris's dad, at the Washington Wizards for a season in 03 and 04, I believe. But yeah, I mean, it's there may not be a history in terms of a series here between these two teams, but there are some interesting connections with the fact that, the Georgetown coach coached under Chris Collins' dad. That's pretty fascinating. NBA legend Patrick Ewing is going to be on the opposite side of the court from Chris Collins in this one. This is the first Gavitt tip-off game for Northwestern since 2019. They're 1-2 all-time in the event. They beat Providence in 2019, 72-63. Lost to Creighton in 2017, 92-88. And lost to Butler in 2016, 70-68. Georgetown is 2-0 on the year, both wins coming at home. They beat Coppin State 99-89 in overtime, and then beat Green Bay 92-58. They have a sophomore guard that you're going to want to keep an eye on in this game named Primo Spears, who's a transfer in. He's somebody to keep an eye on, somebody to watch. He leads the team with 24.5 points per game. And then you have senior center, I'm going to try to get this name right, Qudus Wahab. He averages 8.5 rebounds per game. He leads the team in that category as well. This Georgetown team, they brought in a lot of new players because last year was not great. They were really, really bad last year. And honestly, it's amazing that Patrick Ewing kept his job last year. They went 6-25. 0-19 in conference play. It's pretty rare to see somebody go 0-19 in conference play. Not something you're very used to at all. And look, I mean, they brought in 9 new players, and they need to get something going this year because things have not been pretty in recent history. They did have that one breakout year a couple of years ago where they won the conference tournament and got to the NCAA tournament, but they brought in those 9 new players, 7 transfers. We will see how this Georgetown team kind of responds this year. They haven't really been, well, I guess they got tested by Coppin State, but they have not really they have not faced a Power 5 team. And I think that Northwestern will be a really good test for them. And I think Georgetown, at least in name, can be a decent test for Northwestern. I mean, Vegas seems to think it's going to be maybe a closer game than I would have thought. Northwestern is a 1.5 point favorite on the road in this one. The over-under is 147.5. Look, I think defense travels in a matchup like this. I like the way Northwestern has been playing. I'm encouraged. I like the way that they've been playing defense, at least. I think that they will frustrate Georgetown in this matchup, and I think that that'll be a challenge that maybe this Georgetown team is not exactly ready for. And for that reason, look, I'm going to pick. Of course, these lines are brought to you by our friends at Bet Online. I'm going to pick Northwestern to cover that 1.5 on the road. Start the season 3-0. Things going in the right direction for the Cancun Challenge that will start with their next game. I'm going to take under 147 just because Northwestern isn't scoring a ton of points, and they aren't allowing their opponents to score a lot of points through 2 games this year. I think this game it might have a Big Ten feel to it, like a low scoring kind of grinded out kind of game. In the end, I feel that Northwestern right now has a chance to build some serious momentum, and that is why I'm going to side with Northwestern in this one, pick them to cover that 1.5. In just a second, we're going to talk about some news in the football world. Some good news when there's has not been a lot recently. But first, we need to talk about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From football to basketball to soccer and esports, we've got it all at BetOnline. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those as well at BetOnline. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Also, thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports podcast, the Locked On Sports Today podcast, rather. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Locked On Sports Today, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right. So here is the news that we kind of teased before we went to that break. Senior defensive lineman Adetomiwa Adebawore has accepted his invitation to the Reese's Senior Bowl. Good for him. He deserves it. A guy who's played out his entire career here, 4-year guy, has played in a whole lot of games for this Northwestern team, been a part of some very high highs, and has fought through some very low lows, obviously. But I mean, look, he's going to be a draft guy when it comes time for the NFL draft this spring. I mean, there's Ben Fennell, his tweet. He covers the NFL draft for the NFL Network. He said, "Look, Adebawore he's an explosive, strong, 3 technique, different defensive end hybrid kind of guy. He's heavy-handed and he's quote wound up in the lower half. Like he's 6'1", 275 pounds." Has 33-inch arms. He doesn't have necessarily elite length, but he does have that strength, as he has the 30 reps of 225 that helped place him on Bruce Feldman's freak list this offseason. And he also, I mean, he comes from a pretty unique family, as his younger brother is a 5-star headed to Oklahoma in this next class. Look, I mean, he's going to test well. Bruce Feldman said as much. At his size, he clocked in a 4.05 pro shuttle, a 6'9" 3-cone drill, and a 10.5 broad jump, as well as a 37.5-inch vertical jump, which at that size, that is phenomenal. He is a freak athlete. He's a guy who is a captain, a leader on this team. This year, he's got 31 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. He's closing in on a career best in sacks and potentially a career best in tackles for loss. He has 2 forced fumbles this year. On his career, that brings him to 90 tackles, 21 and a half of those for loss, 11 and a half sacks, 1 interception. He has 6 passes defended, 1 of those coming this year, and then 4 forced fumbles. Good for him. A guy that deserves it. Was one of Northwestern's reps at Big Ten Media Day this year. And look, I mean, good for him. That's awesome, and that's exciting. And he'll get to go show out in Mobile at the Reese's Senior Bowl. That's exciting news for sure. That's probably going to do it for today's episode. Tomorrow we will be back. We will talk about Northwestern's game against Georgetown, and then we may start turning our attention to the weekend with football a little bit. Thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every day for anything and everything Northwestern. We're available wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can find us. We're also on YouTube. Just search Locked On Northwestern and make sure wherever you're listening, you can you subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss an episode. Make sure you leave a comment, leave some feedback. We're always trying to make the show better. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Carter Byrd. You can follow me on social media at Carter Byrd 13, and I will see you all later.